Hello, my lovelies. So, I've thought a lot about where I want to start this podcast, and there's so many places that I could start. I could start in my childhood, I could start when I went into foster care, I could start while I was in foster care, when my daughter was kidnapped, when my daughter was rescued, the FBI, the trial, like all of that. But I think the best place to start is probably like where my story really starts would be when I got taken into foster care in 1991. And I want to start there because there was stuff that happened before that, but it was all like I don't remember any of it. So everything that happened before that, I also remembered later on in flashbacks in my lifetime. So I'm going to do it the way that I did it, the way that my brain experienced it. So in 1991, there was an episode of Growing Pains, and it was called In Vino Veritas, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's a Leonardo DiCaprio's acting like when he was 12 or 13. It was amazing. He was on the show for a few months, and he played a homeless teenager who the Seavers took in, and it turns out that his stepfather was an alcoholic, and he used to beat him. And so one night he pours out all of their wine, and they think that he drank it, and they have this like heartfelt moment. And I just remember like when the mom reached down and like hugged him after telling his story of being abused, and they just were like, you can stay here and you'll be safe. And at the very end of the show, Robin Thicke, or not Robin Thicke, Alan Thicke, his brother, whatever, came out and said, if you or someone you know has a drinking problem, please, call this number. So I did. 11-year-old me called the number, and I was on the phone from Friday night, because this was TGIF. I stayed on the phone with them from Friday night until Monday morning, and it changed over about every 8 hours. It changed people. And so about every 8 hours, a new person would come on, and they would say they just wanted to keep me on the line with them to make sure that I was safe, because I was in such a dangerous situation at the time. But at the time, I didn't know. I thought that they just wanted to talk to me because my life was great and I was entertaining. But the truth was that they genuinely felt that I was in like extreme danger. And on the back end, they were doing everything they could. They'd called Department of Social Services on a Saturday. They tried to reach out to the police. They did everything that they could, but they were in Los Angeles. The number, the 1-800 number, people were in Los Angeles. So they had very little power over what to do. But I stayed on the phone with them all night Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And then Sunday night, about 9 o'clock, they were like, okay, well, we need to make a plan for tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning you're going to go to your guidance counselor and you're going to tell her everything that you told us about how your mom drinks and how she doesn't feed you and you don't have clean clothes and how you and your brother are often left alone for long periods of time without food or any way to take care of yourself. And I was like, okay, so that's what I'll do. So the next morning at 6 o'clock, the last person that I talked to was like, okay, you're going to hang up the phone with me. You're going to go straight, get on your school bus. You're going to go straight to your guidance counselor, and you're going to tell your guidance counselor exactly what you told us, right? And I was like, yes, I will. And that's exactly what I did. I got on my bus. I didn't even take my book bag, left it at home. I didn't need it. I got on my bus. I walked right straight to my guidance counselor. I walked into my guidance counselor's office. I sat down and I said, so here's the deal. My mom, she's an alcoholic and she doesn't feed me, and I'm really hungry, and I'd like to go somewhere where they feed me and they care for me and they keep me safe. And she said, okay, Miss Bartholomew, because that was what my name was before I married my husband. Okay, Miss Bartholomew. So they called social services, and social services came to our school. I didn't go to any classes. They sent a social worker to my brother's school to get him from his elementary school and bring him to my middle school. And we sat at Asheville Middle School in the conference room for the entire day. And they kept calling all these like group homes and places that could take us. And me and my brother were thinking that we were going to go to an orphanage and a nun was coming to get us. Like that was our perception of where we were going. We were going to live in an orphanage and a nun was going to come and get us. And in fact, a really nice social worker named Martha Slammer came and got us instead. But they sent the police to our house while we were at school. One of the reasons it took so long was they had to investigate, because I could have been lying. I mean, I could have been making that whole thing up because my mom was dating a new guy or some crap. So they had to send a cop. And when they sent the police officers to my house, my mother was passed out, drunk, naked in the front yard. Just passed out, naked, drunk in the front yard. So the officer called the school back immediately and was like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this kid's telling the truth, because we just found her mother highly inebriated and unconscious and naked in the front yard. So they immediately took custody of my mother. They arrested her for public drunkenness, put her into Black Mountain Rehab Facility, where she woke up 2 days later. She was passed out for 2 days, just passed the fuck out for 2 full days in rehab before she woke up. And when she woke up, they were like, oh, we took your children. They're in foster care now. And that ship has kind of sailed. So from there, we were in emergency placements for about 2 months. I stayed in a place called Noah's House, where Frosty was amazing. I'm so glad that I got to see love and compassion early, because if I hadn't had that or later on, I would have really struggled. But I knew that there were good people out there, and Frosty's the reason why. So I stayed at Noah's House for 7 days, and I was so mad because they made me go to school for 3 days. They made me register to school for 3 days. And I was like, what the heck do you think I'm going to do in the school for 3 days? Like, there's not even enough turnaround time to have homework and have homework graded. But they made me go to school for 3 full days. So we were at Noah's House for 7 days. And then we went to another place, the tree house, or the Christmas tree place. And we stayed there for about a week. And that place did not work out. And then we moved into our placement that we lived at for about 6 months. And that was a place with a couple named Jerry and Brenda. Last name redacted, because they were terrible and horrible, awful people, y'all. They were just the worst. I try to stay very positive. I try to focus on the positive things, but some people go into foster care for the wrong reasons. And these people went into it for the wrong reasons. Just the wrong reasons. Every reason you can imagine were the wrong. That was why they went into it. And just for an example, we would go to church with these people, and they would dress us up in these cute little outfits, and we would go to church, and they would say, this is our foster child. Not, this is our foster child, Shauna. Like, I didn't have a name. I was just foster child. I was foster child. That was it. I didn't have a name. I didn't get to be a person. I wasn't allowed to have a personality. I was literally a prop for their photos. And that was it. And they were horrible. And it was like we had gone from a place where we were abused and neglected so bad that we were labeled feral. Okay? We had no socialization. We did not understand home training. We did not know rules. We had drugs and sex and all kinds of stuff in our purview all the time growing up. So I had no idea about boundaries. And these people were just crazy. He drank just as much as my mom, but was able to go to his job at a factory and keep working even though he was drunk all the time, which was really difficult because it's like, well, why are you allowed to drink and she's not allowed to drink? So there were a lot of inconsistencies at that place, and I did not like it there. I didn't like it there. Let's put it that way. So there's my first blog. Hope you guys like it. Hope you want more. And let me know. Please write down in the comments and let me know what you want me to talk about.